Hi, my name is Ken,
And I'm Debbie.
and we are the founders of KD Synergy Forge and the creators of Litharian Chess.
Our goal was to create a fun and challenging game based on our experience playing various types of games throughout the years.
Our game is unique in many ways, and we'll explain that in more detail later. Our future plans for the game include many expansions to flesh out the world of Litharia, and we already have 2 expansions in planning.
Thank you so much for your support. We hope you enjoyed playing it as much as we did creating it.
Thank you so much in advance for your support. We really appreciate it.
The components of the game include a game guide that includes instructions and examples of gameplay, 264 cards, including troops, spells, and equipment, a purple game half-board, a green game half-board, 10 red dice used for rolling and to keep track of wounds, 2 black dice that are used to represent obelisks to keep track of per turn mana gain, purple token, and a green token that are used to keep track of mana during gameplay.
The board has 2 halves arranged slightly off-center. The main play area with alternating colored squares is like standard chess. These 2 squares is the castle area where the king and queen is set up, and this provides special protections for troops located in them. The mana counter, labeled 1 through 15, where you keep track of your mana with your token. This space is for the obelisk die, which keeps track of your per turn mana gain. These 3 spaces are for enchants, which are permanent beneficial spells you play during the game. This space is for your deck, it's your draw pile. This space is called the nether, and that's where discarded or played spells go. And this space is called the crypt, where killed troops are placed.
Troop cards represent traditional chess pieces. You have the king, queen, 2 rooks, 2 knights, 2 bishops, and 8 pawns. There are 6 clans. The Kvetni elves and the Burdakian humans represent the good troops. The Stoneboard dwarves and the Surtavi meerkats represent the neutral troops. The Zekar orcs and the Deep Dark goblins represent the evil troops. You can use good troops, neutral troops, or evil troops. You cannot use good troops or evil troops together. And you can use neutral troops with good troops or evil troops, but not both at the same time. You can use no more than 2 of the same troops, and only 1 if it's unique.
In this game, you must select a minimum of 50 spells or equipment. No more than 3 of any one spell or equipment may be used. First, we have the elements: air, earth, fire, and water, of which there are 13 cards each. Elemental opposites such as air and earth, or water and fire, cannot be used together. Air spells represent spells of damage and movement. Water spells represent healings and protections. Earth spells represent protections and slowing of movement. And fire spells represent damage and more damage. Next, we have the arcane spells, of which there are 54. These are your utility spells like counters, draws, and mana gain, etc. Then we have the good, neutral, and evil spells, of which there are 16, 2, and 16. Good and evil spells cannot be used together. Neutral spells can be used with good or evil, but not both. Good spells represent healings and protections. The neutral spells represent the totems of the neutral clans, and evil spells represent damage and protections. Lastly, we have the equipment cards, of which there are 28. They represent the armor and weapons you will attach to your troops to make them stronger.
Here is an example of a game board setup. The troops are positioned in the same fashion as standard chess pieces, and they will move around the board in the same way as standard chess pieces. Players will alternate turns moving, attacking, and casting spells or equipment in an effort to win the game.
In order to win the game, you must defeat the enemy king, and doing so earns you the victory. If both kings are defeated simultaneously, with other troops still on the board, then the player with the highest total power score of troops remaining on the board wins. If both kings are defeated simultaneously, and no other troops are on the board, then the player who killed the highest total power score of troops wins. If either of these last two situations is a tie, then the players roll a d6 until one player rolls higher than the other to determine the winner.
There are several things that make this game unique. Your troop cards represent chess pieces that actually move around the board.
Planning your troops' movements and managing your army's healing, damage, and potential combat attrition will be keys to winning.
Mana is steady and consistent, with ways to access more so you can manage your mana more effectively.
The game is a more dynamic experience that combines the movement of chess and the mechanics and strategy of a fantasy card game.
Thank you for watching, and we appreciate your interest and support of Lytharian Chess.